Welcome back, guys. Today we will continue building our form app with the post create form. In our previous session, we have built the topic create form. This time we will update the topic show page UI, create a new form for the post creation, and finally update the create post server action, which will allow us to save the post in the database. So, without wasting any more time, let's continue our progress. We will start with the topic page. I think we did make that during our file structuring session. If you haven't yet seen it, then must check out. Open the page.tsx file inside topic slug directory. Up to now, we have already created an interface for the incoming slug value. Also tested it several times. Now we have to add some UI as per our wireframe design. It will look much similar to the home page with slight differences. For example, the button name will differ. So, it's enough for discussion. Let's start by storing the received slug string in a constant. Then remove old return UI with the desired interface. Replace it with a div with grid style, just as we did with the home page. I think up to now, most of us have learned the basic of Tailwind class names and styles. So, no need to explain all that. If you need help, write down and comment. Just like the home page, our topic show page will also have a column layout. The left-hand column will contain the post list, and the right side will form the sidebar. It will have a similar button that allows to create new post. It will pop up a new form similar to the topic form. Hence, keep following my code. This time I'll move a little faster, as much of the UI part is exactly same as our previous topic form. In the first child div, I'll set a header with the slug text. This will inform us about the topic being selected. On the other hand, the second child div will contain the sidebar. Again, we will create separate component for the button and the post create form. Later, we will also add a description text just below the button and sidebar. Therefore, I'm only giving the placeholder text to denote the desired positions. Soon, we will update all that. I think the description text needs some tweak. Let's make it a little smaller. Next, move on to the component part. Create a new folder named Post inside the component directory. Just like the topic, this post directory will contain all the dedicated components related to the post creation and display. Create a post create form.tsx file inside the post directory. This will be our form UI. First of all, this will be a client component, so add the use client keyword on top. Then add imports for button, input, text area, popover trigger, and popover content. All of these are UI elements from Next.js library. Also add the import for actions, form button, and use form state from React DOM. Keep in mind, we are using Next.js 14 with React 18+ for this project. With Next.js version 15, this portion have to be changed. If you need help, ping me and comment. Maybe we can update this whole app with latest React 19 and Next version 15. Comment if you like. The latest React 19 and Next.js 15 have introduced quite a few structural changes, especially with form submission and data handling. It will break our current app, so we will continue for now with version 14. Later, if required, we could update everything together, maybe in a future video series. For now, just follow my code, and it will work as expected. In our previous video, we have created a similar topic create form. Hence, without wasting much time on theory, start the actual function. Set up an interface for this post create form. It will structure the received slug as string. We will need a slug to identify the topic for the post creation. Then, create the default export function with relevant name. Set the interface as parameter. Expand the use form state function. It will provide the action and form state to our form. It will take the respective post create action as parameter and a default error log as form state. This code will show error for now, as we haven't yet added any logic for this response to be received from the action file. The post create action file is present, but without any logic to handle such requests. Don't worry, first complete this form with me, then we will write down the action code. Soon we will add a few more checks and constant in the function. It will help us to display the description. But for now, our main objective is to display the form. So let's do that. This function will return a popover element. Set its placement to left. Add a button to the trigger tag. This will be the display button on the sidebar. Give a text, something like create a post. Then add the content tag. This popover content will contain the actual form. The code is similar to that of the topic create form. So, if you wish, you can copy that. Although I would suggest writing it from scratch, it's better for syntax practice. Create a form inside the popover content. Set its action to the same as received from useForm state. Then add a div element to arrange all the upcoming inputs. In this form, we will add one input tag for the title of the post and a text area to write the content. So the name will be title and content as expected. Apart from the obvious styling, we will add the isInvalid property and the invalid message property to both these tags. It may show error for now, as there is no related handle available in the action for these. Soon we will write the code to handle all that. It's pretty simple, and we have already done this in previous video. So keep following. The name parameter is the most important part for the form submission. Make sure you use the value in lower characters, and it should be relevant to identify the data. We will use the same name to retrieve the values in our action function. I'll name title to mark the heading of our post and content to identify the post body. We may improve the content entry part. Maybe a full-scale content editor style will look cool. Although I think a simple text area is fine for our use. If you want to improve this content area, then drop a comment. In the end, finish up the form with a submit button. Fortunately, we have made a custom one in our last video. So, let's add the form button component below the text area and give it a relevant text. I think something like create a post or save post is good for this button. After that, comment out the error lines. We will finish up these after completing the post create action file. Now, open the post create action file. It's there inside the actions directory. We will put all the logic to handle the form here. Again, most of the logic handling, especially the use of Zod Library for form validation, has already been discussed in previous video. Still, I'll try to show each step. If you find it hard to understand, then ping me in comment. Start by placing all the required imports. In this file, we will require the post model structure. It is available in the Prisma client. Then we will need the revalidate path, redirect, auth function, and of course the Zod library. In the end, add the import for path file. It will allow us to access all the predefined routes. So, add them all and continue with the main function. Next, we will design the post schema as required by the Zod library. It will help us filter the incoming entries. This schema is simply an arrangement of predefined functions and parameter provided by Zod library. We can use it to compare the input values as per the required validation rules. Our post form has inputs, one for title and another for content. The title must be a string with a minimum requirement of 3 characters. It means we should not be able to submit the form without a title of less than 3 characters. Similarly, our content is also of type string and has a minimum requirement of 10 characters. There are many more filters available to be combined here, but that's all we need for our inputs. After this, create an interface for the form state. This is a unique spot where we will define the default error response, so buckle up. The error log will have title error, which is of string type, a content error of string type, and a default form error that will collect all the procedural error. It is also of type string. The form error is especially useful to let users know whenever something goes wrong while form submission. Now, update the main function and set the required parameters. First of all, set the incoming slug, then the form state, and finally the form data. This function will respond with a promise of form state. The function starts with a safe parse feature. It is provided by Zod Library. We have to use the create post schema to safe parse the form data. After that, we will check the result of this safe parse and output appropriate messages. The first check will look for the existence of this result. In simple words, we have to check whether the safe parse method is successful or not. If it's not, then we have to return the error message to the form, and that message will be displayed to the user. Note that I'm returning the form error in this message. It is the right spot to understand the use of different error types. In fact, these are just names that we have defined for convenience. You can name them whatever you like. Although it's better to keep them relevant for better understanding of the topic of discussion. Here I'm returning the default field errors to the form, although you can write custom error message if you wish. For the second check, we will look out for authenticated users. So, use the auth function to verify the user session. If the user is not logged in, then return the appropriate message in the form error log. Here we will directly use the form error, as this check has nothing to do with the entered data. Rather, we are evaluating if it's been submitted by an authenticated user. We will proceed to the database storage part, only if the user is authenticated and the result from safe parse is available. Although, to save the actual post, we also need the topic details. We will extract the topic using the slug that we received as the primary parameter. Here, I will use the DB client to get the first result from topics table in our database. For that, we have to provide a check where we compare the slug with the available slugs in our topics record. In the end, make sure to return appropriate error message if no topic is found matching the available slug. After validating the form data, the user details, and the topic records, let's place a try-catch block where we can do the actual task. We will write the logic to save the post in database inside this block. The code is simple. Use the DB client to access the post record. There you will have many pre-built methods especially designed for CRUD operations. So, we will use the create methods with the data set to save our post. The post data require 4 parameters, or say data fields. These are the title, content, user ID, and the topic ID. We will use the validated title and content from safe parse result. The user ID is available with the current session data, and the topic ID can be accessed from the topic constant. Altogether, these 4 values make the data set for our post record. Usually this check for empty string is not necessary. Still, our code is showing these red squiggly lines. Hence, I place a shorthand of check to feed empty string, although we know that title can never be empty. Otherwise, it will not allow submission. We have already placed a check to avoid that condition. That's it for our try block. Next, check for the type and instance of error in the catch block. If it's of type error, then return appropriate message in form error field. Else reply with something like try again or say something's wrong. It's a default error case and must be placed to avoid any unexpected unhandled errors. Finally, it's time to update the revalidate path. We want the topic show page to refresh once a new post is saved in database, as it is the first place where users expect to see the new post. In fact, our posts are also shown in the home page, but that doesn't require a quick response. In the end, redirect the page to the newly create post page. For that, we have to provide the topic and post ID. The path is already there. For now, we just need some logic to handle the request. Once you are done with the action file, save it and move on to the post create form. There, we have to update the form function so that it can handle the action properly. We want the form to react and display appropriate error once any change occur in the form state. Here, in the use form state call, we have to provide the create post action. But there is a slight issue. Our action requires a slug, so how to provide it back to action file? To handle this issue, I'll use bind method to combine the action call with the slug value. In this way, we can provide the slug to the action function. After fixing this issue, uncomment all the error handling spots in the form. It's the invalid check with the error message parameters. Use the form state to check if proper error message is available. If there is an error, then trigger the respective error message with the message received in the error log. In this way, we can show error in title field if it has some error, and so does the content fields. For the default form errors, we have to place a check just above the button and display the error message if anything is there to show. The default error check is very easy to set up. Use the ternary expression to place a if-else condition. Here, check if there is some data in the form error field. If it has something, then show it using proper UI styling. Otherwise, place a null value for no UI output. With this, our create post form is ready to test. After finishing up this form, we have to add it in the sidebar of the Show Topic page. Place the Create Post Form component just above the description text. I'll leave the description part for your practice. Write down your solution in comments. Maybe we can explain that in the next video. For now, our Post Create form is ready to test. Today, we have created the basic UI for Show Topic page. Then we create the Post Create form and work on its action function. Then we have placed it in the sidebar of Show Topic page. Finally, we will test it all together. Hope it works. The UI seems similar to that of the Topic Create form. Also, the validation seems working fine. Although there is no UI designed to display this post or show the available post in our database. Still, we could confirm the post submission by seeing if the page redirects to a page with new post ID. In the next video, we will design the post list, and then we will work on the show post page. That's it. Our post create form is working fine, and we can see the post ID and the topic here. In future videos, we will work on the UI to display the post properly. For now, it's done. Let's wrap up today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. It took me several days to finish up each of these videos, so give it a thumbs up and show your support and comment. See you soon with the next video. Till then, keep coding and keep learning. Thanks for watching TechnoSpace.